There's a great quote from Maya Angelou. You can't use up creativity. The more you use, the more you have. It's very reassuring to hear as an artist, and something that you probably don't believe on initial hearing of that quote, especially when you're in the act of creating on a consistent basis. It does feel like you're dealing with a very limited resource of your own creativity. In some ways, you are. But it's ever expanding, your own creativity. Which means that you never hit a dead end to it. You never hit any sort of end point. And therefore, you can't ever use it up. I just remember a lot of the silly ways that I used to think about writing songs when I got really into writing lyrics. About how if I rhymed the word right with light in one song, and then I wrote that rhyming couplet again in another song, I would panic for a second when I realized that I'd used it before. Oh my gosh, no, I need to change it so right and quite. There we go. Okay, perfect. So there we go. I've only used original rhymes, but then you look at I don't know, at and that. And oh, you use that in another song. Oh, I gotta scramble. You see, you can just go down this endless, ridiculous rabbit hole. And even when you do find a rhyme couplet, that's the first time you've ever used it, you'll listen to a song and that song used it. Oh my gosh, I'm a hack. That's it. I'm a hack. I'm just doing stuff that's completely derivative of other people's work. It's so funny to me to think about how obsessive I was about trying to continuously always just push the boundaries with my creativity. There's value in that. There's value in not wanting to stay stagnant. But I think if you're even worried about being stagnant with your creativity, you're by definition going to keep expanding it the more that you make stuff. I remember being confronted with this philosophy again when I saw Marriage Story. Noah Baumbach, I think that's how you pronounce it. That's how I'm going to pronounce it. He had made The Squid and the Whale some years before he made Marriage Story. The Squid and the Whale is also a movie about divorce. I wonder if he had the least bit of worry when making Marriage Story about, am I just being derivative even of my own style by showing I'm just a one-trick pony who can only make quality divorce movies? You know, which is of course silly. I mean, nobody, not even you, Noah, has a corner on the divorce movie, genre. I don't know what else to say. Kramer versus Kramer did a divorce movie years ago. Does that mean that nobody else is ever allowed to do that ever again? And also, it's worth noting that even if Noah had a bit of worry about being derivative of his own form in making a second divorce movie, it's a distinctly different divorce movie from The Squid and the Whale, even by the same director, two completely different movies, and completely different motivated, because Squid and the Whale was somewhat based on his parents' divorce, and then Marriage Story was somewhat based on his own divorce. You will repeat yourself if you're continuously making art. That's a sign that you're continuously making art. Does anybody come down on William Shakespeare for having similar plot arcs from one play to the next? No, because that's how a story arc goes. Nobody's sitting there being like, Macbeth is really gonna end with the main character dying when Hamlet already ended with the main character dying? Gosh, ridiculous. One, sorry if I spoil either one of those plays, and two, I don't know which actually came out first, Hamlet or Macbeth, because, I'm not that versed of a Shakespearean. There's even an art out of repeating yourself. The first one that comes off the top of my head is Andy Warhol's classic using the same picture over and over and over again, motivated by some point about repetition, but still. it is true that you will only be pulling from exactly what's available to you at any given time. But I think that you also need to use up that stuff in the moment in order to find farther places to reach. And it can sometimes be a habit of an artist that's worried about running out of material that they make less material so that they can make sure that they can't possibly run out of it because they didn't make enough to do that. But yeah, I will never run out of creativity. Even with video concepts, I'm going to repeat myself constantly from one video to the next here. I'm going to recycle subjects, but I'm going to do it better each time just by virtue of being older and more mature and just more versed in living.